Good morning. Today is the last bit of section 107, verses 81 through 100. And it just talks about the duties of a priest, a teacher, a deacon, a bishop. It also talks about the president of the church can be tried before a church court. It talks about these church courts and how nobody in the church is above these. Absolutely nobody. And it gives a story. August 11th, 1834, Sylvester Smith brought charges against the prophet concerning Zion's camp. And Bishop Newell K. Whitney was called to preside over it. The prophet stated his case. Sylvester stated his case. Basically what had happened was Sylvester was rebellious and contentious during Zion's camp, and Joseph saw fit to rebuke him, and Sylvester didn't like that too much, and so he brought up charges against the prophet, saying that he was acting in I can't say. Anyways, he was saying that he wasn't being honest with the monies or the properties that were given to him for the journey. And after the prophet spoke, Sylvester got up and said, "Yes, I was being rebellious. Yes, I will confess to this. I will confess to my sins." And then the court decided that an article was to be published in the Evening and Morning Star, and it was to say that they had looked into the matter and found that Joseph was in the right, and Sylvester said he would be willing to publish a confession as well. And then Joseph Fielding Smith says, "This is the first time in the history of the church that a president of the church had been brought to trial before the bishop and high priest on an accusation, according to the provisions stated in the Revelation. From this account published in the history, we see that the prophet was perfectly willing to have a case where accusations were brought against him, tried before the proper tribunal of the church." I think it is not interesting, but for anyone who's like, "Oh yeah, you can't question the church leaders, you can't question the prophet, you can't do this." It's like Joseph was perfectly willing to have a proper church trial and to present his case and have the other case presented as well, because he knew he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was a humble man following the direction of the Savior. Yeah, that's basically it. So I'm sure that any person who has no guilt would be perfectly fine with having a church tribunal or whatever you want to call it. Alright, that was section 107, verses 81 to 100. We made it.